Morning, morning. Hello, how are we all? Faye Edwards here. Hope we are all well and having a great day and a good morning. This post today is inspired by The Hobbit. I was listening to The Hobbit this morning with my children in the car on the way in. Excuse my quiff. So we have a fairly long journey on a daily basis at the moment, an hour each way, and Audible is our friend. We've actually listened to The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings a few times, but we're having The Hobbit again. And it made me think about why we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, just like Bilbo Baggins did. He spends so much, particularly of the early part, going, why am I on this adventure? Why am I here? Why am I not sat in front of my fire with my cup of tea in my really comfy, warm, cosy hobbit house? Why am I on this adventure with loads of dwarves and a wizard that I didn't even want to come on? And he definitely doesn't feel like that at the end. He looks back and says, wow, if I hadn't gone with something that made me feel uncomfortable, I wouldn't have experienced any of this. I wouldn't have had this adventure. And I kind of think there is a massive, massive parity there with us and life. We're welcome to choose a life of warm, cosy houses, comfy sofas, burning fires, warm cups of tea, and zero adventure. Or we can get past that and choose things that make us feel uncomfortable and push our own boundaries. So I guess most people's questions at this point would be, why does it make me uncomfortable? Why am I going through this? And it's a really valid question, of course it is. This is our one life. This is it. This is our only shot, our only chance. And why would we ever choose to be uncomfortable? But if you look at anybody who has been uncomfortable and has come out the other side, are any of them regretting it? Any at all? Athletes, entrepreneurs, business people, people who have inspired generations, Nelson Mandela, Marie Curie, those people that nobody believed in, that had to fight to be heard, that had to fight and went through massive things, making themselves uncomfortable to get to where they wanted to be. Nobody regretted it, not one of them. So why does our brain and our mind make us uncomfortable? Because it does. It's a role that it plays. Our brains are wired to protect us. So anything at all that has the chance of hurting us, our brains and our mind says no. And whether that's pushing yourself through exercise, whether that's taking on challenges that seem impossible, if there is a chance that it might hurt us, our brain and our mind is trying to convince us not to do this. That is what self-protection is. It's a brilliant thing. It's part of human nature. It's instinct. It's survival of humanity. And some of us choose to push through that. We say, I know I might get hurt. This might go wrong. But you know what? I'm going to survive it if it does. And so I'm going to push through this uncomfortable feeling. This feeling that almost makes me question everything. It makes me feel stupid. It gives me an imposter syndrome. Who am I to think that I can push through these things? Who am I to think that I can break these boundaries down? But that's all part of the challenge. If we can keep standing up to those things, if we can say, I am someone, I am going to give it a go. And if it fails, I'm going to brush myself up and I'm going to get back up again and try again because I have belief and I have become comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. I have become a person who can fight this and push through it because I know what I can achieve on the other side is worth it 1,000 times over. Can you imagine if nobody pushed themselves, if nobody got through that uncomfortable phase? We would be left without any pioneers, without any athletes, without any entrepreneurs, because they could all have stopped at the first hurdle and thought, 5 people have said, this deal isn't going to work. This idea is rubbish. None of these figures add up. Nobody is going to be interested. And when that many people said no, I just parked it. I just put it away. I bet most of us in this group have read the kind of things that tell us not to do this. Who has read Napoleon Hill and understood that somebody carried on digging and they found the oil, they found the diamonds, they found the things that thousands of people had turned back from because they'd spent too much time and too much money and too much energy looking for something that they hadn't yet got to. And yet the people who didn't give up, the people who didn't turn back, the people who carried on through that uncomfortable feeling, they're the ones that found it. And did they regret it? Of course they didn't. And so once we understand that we're meant to feel uncomfortable, it's those of us who can cope with that and push through it who then have the strength and the resilience to see things through. So it's okay to feel that way. It doesn't mean you're on the right path. We get some conflicting messages these days. We really do. Follow your instinct. Be yourself. If you follow your instinct, quite a lot of the time, your instinct is saying, whoa, stop. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm scared. I've got that butterfly feeling in my stomach. Is that your instinct? Or is that fear? And all of these messages are conflicting and we have to kind of work through them. Yeah, there is fear there. But fear is often caused by adrenaline, which is caused by excitement. And that's because we know that the thing at the end of this is going to give us satisfaction. And we are actually excited. So we can get past all that. Be yourself. That's a really, really confusing message. Because you were being yourself last week when you didn't push yourself. And when you went for your cozy fire and your cup of tea and your comfortable environment. Are you still being yourself when you push through that and say, I'm going to go back? 5 people might have rejected this idea. Where's number 6, 7, and 8? I'm going to go and find them. So which one of those is being yourself? They both are. But they're both the parts of you that you need to acknowledge. You know the people who stayed in the same steady job all of their life? Did they feel accomplished at the end of it? Did they look back and go, oh, thank the Lord I stayed in that job. It didn't push me. It didn't challenge me. But I knew what to expect and I knew where the money was coming from and the bills were being paid. It's perfect for some people. Is it perfect for you? And for those of us in this environment and in these kind of situations that we put ourselves in, we meet obstacles every single day. And just one of those could be the final obstacle, but we don't let it. We find another way round. We find a way over. We find a way under, or we find a way through. And they are the messages where we do have to dig deep. But when we listen, there is always a really strong, it might be quiet, but strong voice in our instinct that says, push through, go on. You can do this. Carry on. It's hard. It's heavy. It's tiring. It's draining. It's exhausting. But just see what happens when you push through. So if you are feeling uncomfortable this week, if things are testing you, if you're feeling exhausted and drained, especially in this situation, in this current climate where so many of us don't know what on earth's going on or what to expect next or how to plan or how it's going to impact on our businesses in the next few months, keep pushing. Because at the end of uncomfortable, there is something amazing. Take care.